Welcome to Rauta's Reviews. This time I definitely have something different to talk about and more importantly to show you. Now, this is not to boast, but more like give you a reference point. Throughout my years in listening to metal music, that is roughly 40 years or so, and already some 20 years listening and reviewing metal, I've encountered thousands and thousands of different kind of releases, and it's only a very, very rare thing when a release format just blows my mind. Even rare it is when you see this beautiful packaging meeting something, well, worthwhile listening to kind of music. You either have one or the other, but usually not both. But it's never before when I've seen this beautiful packaging when it comes to CD format especially. So let's welcome Bucium or Bucium. I'm not exactly sure how this Romanian band is pronounced, but let's not talk about that. This is the third album by the band, and well, this Zimbrul alb, which is wisent, is the third album by the band. During the time I'm actually making this video, this CD is not even listed in all the sites, for example Metal Archives, which I will show you in a bit. But nevertheless, this is already out as graphics and all on the Bandcamp site, so you can just click for photos in case you need more information. And of course track listing and all that stuff, but I will also go through that right here. So when I say this is a CD format, it totally looks like a 10-inch vinyl one, like a sort of kind of MLP. But here it is. This is indeed a really cool looking CD. I'm still, even though it's been days since I just got it for the first time and then opened it and listened to it, I'm still very much like amazed how awesome this looks. Not only in colors and shape, but you will see when I open it a little bit more. But here you have the track listing. You can see it's also in Romanian as well as in English with the track lines mentioned here. And it opens like this. There is a code here, which I hope you don't pause and download it illegally. It's mine. Well, I can still live with the CD, but here it is. But what is included in this packaging is, well, not vinyl for sure, but kind of cardboards, pieces of cardboard, which are two-sided. And on the other side, you will find lyrics, not only in Romanian, but once again, both languages. So you have two names of any given track here and some interesting graphics. So each one is like a small cardboard poster, and you will see each of these included in the packaging. I will quickly just flip them through so I won't be spending your 10 minutes here going through them. But still I want to do this kind of unboxing, especially when we're having this kind of a special release. Now these kind of art cardboards might not look like, hey, these are some super interesting and all that stuff, but I must say I am very stoked that bands such as this are doing the kind of stuff. I mean, obviously you have a lot of bigger bands that have gone through wonderful packaging throughout the years, but usually it's more like the mainstream names which have the money and all to put it and do something like this. Like there was this Kansas release, which was like a LP-sized art book, basically. Really beautiful, and it was the first time I've seen anything like that. And of course, usually the review ones are not that beautiful or special. And here, finally, the last cardboard has not only the lineup photo, but also kind of a thank you list on the other side. Once again, with each artist, and of course the CD. So it just kind of snaps back to this plastic circular piece like that. Really snaps and keeps it together. And these cardboards then again include the lyrics, which go back to the box. So it is roughly the size of a 10-inch, a little bit smaller, but bigger than a 7-inch, I guess. Something like 8.5 if you want to really be accurate about it. I don't have a 10-inch EP except on the backside, so can't really do comparison, but who cares really? What matters is that you get roughly the idea and shape of the release. Now here on the Metal Archive site, you will see that Bucium was founded around 2000 year 2000, and since then demo and couple of full albums before this one, and that's pretty much of it. But as you can see, there is nothing mentioned yet of this album because it's out later in February. So to give you a little bit more information, you probably want to open the band website to get the feeling. Of course, not all the information here is exactly in English, but at least you get a little bit more vibe what's going on with photos and all. And the band's Facebook page, for example, has more information, more photos and all that stuff. So there it is. But of course, what matters more than beautiful graphics and interesting packaging, how is the music? Now, here on Metal Archive site, this is labeled as folk metal, which is somewhat true. I would say it's partially true because this is beyond that. It's like as if this band suddenly stepped into a big band game, if you will. I'll try to explain what I mean. Certainly, you have a lot of riffs which kind of constitute to metal recording. You have some kind of a metal sound, so to speak, which then again emphasizes the metallic feeling here. So considering this as folk metal is kind of a true, because you have those riffs, you have the production, and you have folk instruments. That is traditional instruments like violin and stuff, or string instruments which sound like violin and stuff like that. But this goes beyond plain folk metal. There are lots of stuff which could be seen as, or maybe described as, progressive rock. You heard me right. At some points this is like, I don't know, some folk metal band having a baby with bands like Pink Floyd and the like. So there are lots of progressive parts. Some could be described as adult-oriented rock, kind of stadium rock kind of a thing. And all these blend together wonderfully. Now, the only trick or twist in the whole thing here is the vocals are done in Romanian language, which then again, I was told, could be kind of a breaking the deal point here. It takes a little bit time to get used to that, especially for a lot of people like us who are just, have grown up with English, spoken lyrics and all that stuff. So singing in English comes like naturally. And of course, wherever you live, you might have your favorite language, something else. Some say Swedish, some say Finnish, some say, I don't know, whatever. That's not the point though. But that Romanian language, as nicely it's done here, might take a little bit time because the vocals are mostly clean. Well, mostly, that is throughout the whole deal here. Mostly with very warm male vocals, something that are very soothing, for most parts. Not only that, they're really beautiful female parts, which then again kind of complement each other, making this really, really beautiful album to listen to. But a lot of these things on this album are not exactly metal. So it's more like rock and metal becoming something like one. As if two worlds collided, and instead of having this explosion, they had this kind of a fusion, became one, and suddenly there are no boundaries. Where the metal ends and rock starts, you really can't see the line. It's all very blurred, but in a good way. And beyond that, if we go, all these different elements, female vocals or folky string instruments, male vocals, heavy riffs, even double-bassed kick drums, they are all there, finding their parts and making a lot of sense. Now, mind you, this might be too much of a feel-good music for a lot of people. There are lots of happy parts, joyful parts, which are like weird when you're getting used to, being a dissonant metal or grim metal being very dark and sinister or just heavy as hell or energetic like thrash metal or hardcore punk or whatever. So this is very, very soothing and nice and beautiful. There's a lot of contrast with this and the regular stuff I listen to. And I guess it's the same for a lot of you people out there. But I still hope you give this one a chance because now there are a couple of reasons why I want you to do that. First of all, the music with this album is unique. I have never ever listened to anything which is closely similar to this. Surely, remotely, there are some bands which are like, okay, this reminds me of that, and this part reminds me of that. But as whole, this is different. This is unique, and it's wonderfully executed. Beyond that, we want to talk about the production on this album. This is mind-blowing. Definitely one of the best produced albums ever, hands down. I kid you not. This is sounding as big as if it was some band size of Rammstein or Pink Floyd or Journey or any of those really big bands. Rammstein sounds like a small band compared to them. The kind of bands that sell millions of copies and tour around the world and have all the money in the world to put into making an album. Which then again brings me the question, how on earth this is possible? This is a kind of a small band, 2 albums out, a folk metal band that is not supposed to sound like a big money, big ass band, pouring in some cash, bringing in some producer who knows exactly how to sound those drums, those bass guitars, those, electronic guitars, string instruments, vocals, male or female or whatever. Everything sounds perfect. I kid you not. That alone should be the reason to listen to this, at least for a song or two. I don't know how they pulled it off, but it seems like as if I was targeted by some compulsive spell altering my mind. Beautiful packaging, interesting, unique music, and then this perfect production. Now still, even so I am now saying wonderful words about this amazing album and all that stuff, I don't think the music here is perfect. And this might feel a little bit of a letdown considering how much I've said already about it. Now musically, this is a really challenging stuff to enjoy fully. Maybe partially because of that contrast I was mentioning, like too joyful, too happy and all that stuff. But also because this is kind of a hard to get into. Maybe it's kind of a grower album that you need to listen to multiple times throughout the years, and finally in 20 years later you will finally understand, okay, it's really that good. I don't know, because usually those kind of albums actually take decades for me to really sink in. I'll use an example. That's Symbolic. Nowadays, one of my favorite 10 out of 10 albums. But when I heard it for the first time around 1995, it wasn't that. It was good, not great. Still far away from being perfect. So lots of albums need that kind of a growing time. And this is probably one of those because it's really complicated. Lots of layers and all that complex things with different kind of vocals and instruments. It's a hard cookie to crack for sure. But I must say, based on the few listens I gave this one, which is almost 60 minutes of a spin, this is really interesting release. And I enjoyed it. And for just the sheer beauty of this packaging, I'm going to keep it this myself, put it into my collection and come back later on because this is one of a kind. And I wish more bands had the possibility and will to do something like this because not only this looks beautiful, but it sounds beautiful. And what can I say? It's really something of a kind. One of a kind, unique release. Give it a shot and blame me later on if you need to. But at least I am pretty much sure that you haven't heard anything like that. This is a challenge for you, so take it up as you will. Anyway, thanks for checking out the review. Should you have comments or questions, put them on the comments box below and I will get back to you. Meanwhile, go check out some Bucium from Romania and have a good one with that. Take care.